Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fewell Innovation 10th Anniversary Executive Speaker Series, where I'm here with my friend and colleague, Sidney Fernandes. Say hi, everybody, Sidney.
Hey guys.
We are running this series where we feature some of my favorite colleagues, leaders, and experts on topics. And today, I've got Sidney Fernandes, the CIO for the University of South Florida, and he's going to be shedding some light on what he's learned as a leader rolling out technology, all of that. And he and I were talking a little while ago, and he had some passion around this. And I've had a front row seat to some of the things that he's done, and can attest that you're in for a treat. So first, let me ask Sidney for you to kind of give people a little bit of a description of your role as it is at the moment.
Sure. Thanks, Jesse. And first, thanks for inviting me to chat with you because it's always a pleasure chatting with you, even informally, and I learn a lot. So I am the CIO for the University of South Florida and the Vice President for Digital Experiences here. And really my role is one of making sure we get technology value to our faculty, staff, and students as quickly as possible. And here at the University of South Florida, IT, the central IT group, which I lead, essentially manages everything from our healthcare colleges to our more traditional academic campuses, along with supporting our clinical enterprise as well. We also have 3 campuses, one in Tampa, one in Pete, one in Sarasota. And then we have a medical school downtown, and we have a simulation center downtown. So it's a broad organization. If you want to know a little about USF, we have over 50,000 students. We recently were invited to be a member of the AAU, which is a big deal for a university. I think the second university that was invited, we were invited in Florida, public, or Florida public. So that's kind of a big deal. And really our focus, the thing that I'm most proud about at USF is we are one of the schools that have closed the achievement gap. And what that means is our students, irrespective of where they come from, have the same academic progress rates and standing. So really an amazing place to work. We have amazing faculty to start off with. That's what makes it amazing.
From rolling out a massive electronic medical records install, pivoting 50,000 students in the middle of a pandemic, speed to innovation with a case management system in 3 months. How? How does Sidney do this? What would you say are the 2 or 3 Sidney secrets to technology rollout?
I don't think they're Sydney secrets, to be honest, Jesse, as we've talked quite often. I think the first thing is our cornerstone has always been speed to value for clients, right? Show me versus tell. Don't show me, don't tell me, show me, right? So what I've always emphasized to my team is that we want to be a show me, don't tell me IT group. We want to be a speed to value IT group. But then internally, and I think this is really important, we want to be partners coming alongside our clients. We don't call the folks that use our services users. We deliberately use the word clients, and it's in our vernacular. And when we set up our strategic plan, the first time, I hated users, so I had suggested customers, and a really respected member of our faculty who was part of our governance group said, Sydney, I don't think of myself as your customer. I think of myself as having a bi-directional conversation with you. So I would prefer client. We took that to heart. And so that's really important, is coming alongside your clients. And
well, let's talk about culture, because that's always what I think a lot of leaders notice, is what they inherit as an existing inertia, a way, a status quo, a way things are. What did you notice when you stepped into the broader central IT role, and how were you able to shape a different direction?
the thing that we did really very quickly, and I say we, because I didn't do this myself, it was a leadership team that got together to do this, was to say, we are going to be committed to being an agile shop. And not just in mechanisms only, not just in the ceremonies. And Jesse, you were instrumental in explaining that to us. I want to have a chance at least to talk about the fact that you were in the beginning of being our centering us in terms of what agile really meant, right? And so we took that to heart. So everything we did then was centered around how could we incrementally make progress as every 2 weeks, every quarter, every month, every year. And if we did that, we felt we would be in better shape as we went forward. The second thing I think we did really well was in terms of changing the culture is as a leadership team, we decided that we were not going to silo ourselves when it came to anything, including budget. And so we changed all of our processes where every member of my leadership team knew the entire budget for IT and how money was being spent. Personnel moves are completely transparent to the leadership team in terms of how we decide. How we plan our overall strategic planning did not happen and does not happen with each member of an AVP stack kind of saying, okay, this is my budget, this is what I want to do. We do it all together and everyone's aware of what everyone is doing, to the extent that we have a Jira board that essentially lists all personnel moves that we are thinking of making. So the transparency, the openness was really important. We then worked really hard, I think, on figuring each other out as a leadership team and downstream. So we did the Gallup Strengths Finder, for example. So we all knew each other and our strengths and of course the things that we weren't really good at. When you do those things initially, you get together a core of leaders that then can now take that downstream. And then as a leader, you also have to be vulnerable to the fact that you're going to suck a couple of times. And when you make those mistakes, I think you have to own up to them publicly to your team. One that I remember very vividly was we had decided that IT used to have a flow plan that was very office oriented. And at the time, we said, okay, we want to have an open flow plan because we want to have collaboration and we want everyone to collaborate. And as you might expect, there was pushback. And I sat in in an all hands meeting. And I remember this like it was yesterday. Somebody asked the question because I said, ask me anything, right? I was young and naive, clearly. And one of them said, Sidney, I had an office and now it's, going to be super noisy. And what am I going to do? What are you going to do about? What am I going to do about that? Clearly it's something.
What is Sidney going to do about that?
Sidney going to do about that, right? So I was new, not as as filtered as maybe I would have been now, and I said, well, what I would do is wear headphones, and I said it like publicly, 300 people in the room, I'm on the mic on the stage, and of course some people laughed, some people thought it was funny, other people didn't. But the feedback that I got after that from my senior leaders who I valued said, you know what? You might think that would be fine in a smaller audience, but that went over as well as a lead balloon could go over, and you probably shouldn't have said that, right? and the reason I was grateful for that feedback was then the next time I could address it and explain that I probably shouldn't have said it that way, but this is what I was hoping to achieve with this, which was this broad, open framework. And so when owning those things and saying that, remembering that and have that you can make mistakes and owning those, I think goes a long way in folks trusting you and listening to to everyone in the organization when they have feedback.
I would imagine that a large university system, medical campus, has a lot of opinions and a lot of fiefdoms. How does a technology leader create alignment when everybody has competing goals and priorities?
So I'll say something that I've learned over time. And I think the most critical thing that a technology leader can do to ensure alignment is to understand that perfect alignment is not possible. And not to fight, not to tilt against windmills. However, alignment of purpose is definitely possible. And so understanding, and we have very deliberate mechanisms that we've created, Jesse, now within IT. We call it our relationship management meetings, where every member of my senior leadership team is assigned a vice presidential area, a dean, or a leader in each of in all areas of USF, where we meet with them on a regular cadence. Some of them like it monthly, some of them like it quarterly, some of them like it semesterly. And those meetings have been critical to explain our point of view in terms of how we can get them to what they want to be. Different from trying to say this is the IT road and now I need to align you. It's about, if you have a vision of how your college should run, what are the things that IT can do to enable you to accomplish that vision within the infrastructure that we have and the constraints that we have? And that bi-directional conversation, I have found to be much effective in terms of gaining consensus in the overall pathway. And the other thing that you have to have, and we did this very, very early, is to have a governance process that that is truly collaborative. So in our governance process, for example, at USF, IT has just one vote when it comes to making decisions, including sometimes decisions on how to spend our technology fee. The rest
How many stakeholders are in that committee?
About 15 stakeholders. So I have 1/15 of a vote.
So let's talk then about all of the ideas and the backlog that stems from all of that feedback.
Yep.
I hear this a lot where, okay, Sidney, I understand collaboration, regular feedback, and the suggestion box, and all that did was just double my backlog.
Yeah.
How do you, from your seat, choose?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the art of the CIO, right? At the end of the day, one of my bosses once said, Sidney, your job is taking 10 pounds worth of stuff and putting it in a 2-pound bag, right? That's just, and he said that's what we pay you for. And the way we've done it is, again, embracing this concept of rapid delivery, right? Very, very important. And then allowing decision making at the edge. So our product owners, to be honest, make a lot of the decisions for their individual products. So the way we stratify our backlog is when something comes in, we have something called a concept proposal that says, this is something I want to do. Very simple.
Okay.
That comes into our IT intake. And then every Tuesday, my entire senior leadership team and the product owners and the product managers sit in a meeting, and we do what we call the Harry Potter meeting. It's the most important meeting of the week. What happens in Harry Potter? You go, put the sorting hat on, and it says Gryffindor, Slytherin. That's all we do. We take a look at the concept proposal, and we call it our sorting hat meeting, because we only have 2 minutes to decide based on the concept proposal. Is this local agile backlog? That means, is it going to some team's backlog without any more governance intervention? Does this need to go to our enterprise architecture group? We call it SOG architecture because we don't quite know, what it has to do. Or 3, does it have to go to a prioritization backlog? Either ITMC is the highest level, and if it scores at a 10, it will go there. 10 to 7 go to kind of like, if it's an academic one, it would go to what we call the provost prioritization backlog. If it's admin, it'll go there. And that really ensures that we at a senior leadership level have made a decision which focuses on, again, speed to value, because we would rather have things go to local agile backlog if they can. Now, once that sorting hat process is done, right, each product owner now has their backlog, just like a normal product owner and a product manager.
Let's zero in on that. One of the challenges I hear with technology leaders is the boogeyman of shadow IT. Ooh, and then here comes this shift left approach where we're going to democratize IT after you just centralized it. So let's give everybody these reporting platforms and self-serve. Let's give them citizen developer, low code, no code, and now everyone's got their spaghetti all over the place. And Gen AI is going to make everybody like tech savvy and everything. How do you keep that from turning into a giant mess?
Yeah, well, you have to anticipate the mess, right? I mean, so you start by knowing that's what's going to happen. And if you've been a CIO for enough time and you're old like me, then you've seen the access, the issue of Microsoft Access and unmitigated SharePoint sprawl, and all those words are in your vocabulary. if you know that's going to happen, you can then plan. On the low code platform, we purposefully did not open up our low code platform to everyone. We decided we were going to use low code internally to IT to rapidly create solutions. Now, as we start to get more experience on how this low code works, particularly with Power Apps and things like that, we now can have a center of excellence that has learned from all of our errors, if you will, and then release it to folks. The other is the platforms are important. If you just take a low code platform that's sophisticated and give it to folks, they're not going to be able to use it. But if you incrementally teach them how to fish on the platforms that they can innovate on, and decide the rules of the game are really important. So what we've done, for example, on low code is said, if you want to create something for your own department, for example, sure, knock yourself out. If you want to do something for a group of departments, bring us in. We'll let you know how to work for it. But if you want to create for the whole university, we're going to do it for you. You also have to build, and this is the really hard work. It's really easy to launch a low code platform and give it to people. It's really hard to do it right. So creating pipelines so folks understand how to get data in, creating the infrastructure for environments. So you got to have really good architects that are thinking about the mess that it can be, so that you can then have a really good citizen developer. I think really good citizen development programs are really expensive versus cheap, but the payoff is really good because you want to have the architects that can do these things and really smart leaders who can anticipate the mess before. I hate the term shadow IT because that kind of gives a specter of, oh, there's these guys in the shadow. I don't know. They should be client technologists who you embrace, who now have the same level of empathy that you have when it comes to cybersecurity, when it comes to scaling. All of those things, they need to have that same level of empathy that you do. And you can create that by doing things proactively, as well as in some cases, letting them fail in an environment that you can control to say, this is kind of what I expected to happen, and now it looks like. I'll give you an example. We had one of our leaders request a program, and they used the words, you know what, guys, this fruit is so low in terms of it being low-hanging fruit, it's practically on the ground. So this, and they want it done like that. And we said, great, we have this citizen developer low-code opportunity. If you think that this is something that the fruit is literally on the ground, we will invest in training your person, name whoever it is, and have them develop the solution. The amount that client learned from that process was amazing because yes, the fruit was almost on the ground, but there were corner cases that took the fruit all the way up to the highest branch, right? And when their person that was trying to get the system was working on it, they immediately went to the corner case. And so it took maybe a week for the low-code solution to be built for the fruit that was on the ground. But it never got off the ground because the person was insisting on the highest branch. That taught the project sponsor that sometimes, developed empathy for IT. And they told us this. We're like, so this is how you guys get, these things that are quick. And then they reduce scope. They kind of said, okay, this is the scope that I want to create. So I think part of that is that conversation is this. It's a relationship. It's having a strategy, but it's also letting people come to those conclusions themselves.
Wrap us up here with what's next. What is on your horizon that you feel is going to be the next great, exciting adventure discovery for rolling out tech at scale?
Well, most CIOs are going to talk about AI, and if they're not, they're probably going to get run out of town, right? So AI, but in USF IT, we've looked at AI not as being on its own, just like everything else we've done. I have said that everyone should have AI embedded in all of their operations, whether you're in cybersecurity, whether you're in networking, whether you're a developer, whether you're a resource manager, whether you're an agile expert. And so as a result of that, we have really embraced the concept of AI as an accelerator for the work we're already doing. We created AI that essentially automatically classifies tickets and sends it to the right team. So that is in the near future. In the far future, I think IT has to be completely reconfigured now to take advantage of these opportunities that are coming up. and we talk a lot about cross-functional teams and data being at the core of what we want to do. I think AI is going to accelerate all of those things at a level to which I think we're still starting to learn. You're being able to protect your data, being able to respond to the clients. Clients will become technologists at a much more rapid rate than what you were used to. You can now get speed to value much faster. In fact, we've noticed that we created a bot, a chat bot for you to get IT information. The first time it took us 6 months. The next time we did it 3 months. The last time we did it over a weekend, right? The same product, because we are now using different technology. And so I think that, that mindset shift where, previously we used to say, oh, low code, we created a solution in weeks versus months. Now it's hours versus days, right? In terms of being able to create the solution. So how can IT now react to that level of expectation and also ability that you now have?
Thank you so much, Sidney, for sharing some of your insights, your thoughts, your experiences. It's going to be very helpful and inspirational to all of the emerging leaders out there. Thank you so much for
thank you.
sharing.
And thank you for getting us started on the journey. I have to say this. Jesse was the first person who I met when I started my Agile journey, and a lot of how I've started to think actually came from those initial conversations we had, not just in your class, but after class. So I appreciate that very much.
Yes, the rising tide lifts all boats. So there it is. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. Go forth and lead.